When we got that OFAC license, it was based on a series of face-to-face contact with decision makers. Because I would have told you all before, as Prime Minister, as I led these negotiations, I am going to the people who make the decisions. Whether it is an oil company, a government. During my term of office, I led these things and I went to where the decision is being made. That's when you can say you are impacting the decision, and the person who is making the decision can benefit from your input in the negotiations and the education that goes towards the decision. We had the energy minister missing from all these discussions. He went to Washington recently. We don't know who he spoke to. We don't know what was the issue. But just to say he went to Washington, and we have no idea who he spoke to and how the matter was advanced. The Prime Minister is in New York, interfering in all of these and getting all these great results, no Minister of Energy. But the Attorney General is now coming to tell you, because he is the Attorney General and a contract is involved, the matter now falls to him. I tell you, as a former Prime Minister, as a citizen who know the details of this very important matter, we are in big trouble and deep doo-doo if that is how we intend to proceed on this matter. Now, up to that point, I was just a listener to the press conference. But when the Attorney General said that what they have got, which is still not clear to any of us in this country, cost $500,000 to get this superior OFAC license step by step, where they now get the permission to talk to Venezuela and the permission to proceed to the next level and so on. He said, that superior position cost $500,000. But the previous government, meaning the government of which I was the Prime Minister, leader of that administration, the previous government spent over $100 million on this issue and had nothing to show for it. That was the statement of the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, who called the media to his presence to treat with a matter of grave importance to Trinidad and Tobago, and that is the government's position. So the previous government, in attempting to deal with this issue, which they have fixed like that, for $500,000, the previous government spent over $100 million and had nothing to show. I thought at that stage that I have a duty to enter this debate and set the record straight, and that's why you are here this morning. I have taken the opportunity to make some notes from my research and from my notes, having led this situation since 2016, to let you know that you need, and the public needs to follow me a little bit, to go back to understand what we are dealing with. I want to take you to an issue of gas curtailment in Trinidad and Tobago. Curtailment means rolling back in the consumption and availability of gas. I need not waste your time to tell you, because the whole country knows how important gas and petrochemicals and oil are to Trinidad and Tobago. This morning we wouldn't deal with the oil issue because that's been dealt with at length with the restructuring of Petrotrin. I want to deal with the gas issue. And I want to remind you and the country that this tool from which I sit here as one of two people, myself and Stuart Young, who are the only other prime ministers of Trinidad and Tobago. And the one who's in office now, we had to deal with this issue frontally as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I was, prior to being Prime Minister, the opposition leader with responsibility not only for the entire opposition, but for the energy portfolio in opposition. So I am familiar with the issue and its details. And I can tell you, in 2013, we asked the government what was happening, why Point Lisa's plants were having gas curtailment, meaning the plants could not get enough gas to produce at their full capacity. The then minister, in responding to this matter, told the country that don't worry, the problem is temporary. They are doing maintenance work, and as soon as the maintenance is over, we will get back to normal consumption and production levels. That was the position of the UNC minister, and that was 2013. However, those of us who were monitoring the industry knew that that was not true, because in 2013, NGC, which was the aggregator and supplier of the gas, contracted so to do. NGC was the one who was telling the companies, we don't have enough gas to give you all you need at this point in time. Sometimes on the morning of the instruction, plants were being told, shut down your plant now because we are without enough gas for you to continue. Give them that instruction in the morning to turn off your tap immediately. Now those plants are not designed to operate like that. When they get that kind of instruction or frequently have to turn off their operation because of curtailment of gas, it damages the equipment and it's also dangerous. And it affects the output and it also affects government's revenues. But that was happening in 2013. I need not tell you who the government was in 2013, and the government would have known that. Because that was so important to this country that any government worthy of the salt of that name would have known that. That was 2013. I was in the opposition and I knew that. 2013, it was averaging about a 10 to 15% reduction because they were reducing it across the board so that everybody could get not all that you need, but most of what we are available. That was averaging about 15%. And of course, if you know anything about that business, the profitability of those plants improve as you get nearer 100%. When you're up to 80%, 85%, 90%, and 85%, the higher up you go, the better your profitability. If you go in the other direction, you could be producing, but getting close to losing money. That's the nature of that business. So that was 2013. In 2013, going into 2014, sometimes the curtailment could be as high as 25%, and there were instances where the curtailment was 30%. That was happening here.
Pay attention to
And
that.
while that was happening, the UNC government, through its minister, was not being level and truthful to the population. We were raising this in the opposition, but we were voice crying in the wilderness. The People's Partnership majority and the incompetent media was allowing this to pass, and the government got passed with that. Come 2014, in 2014, NGC invoked in some instances its force majeure clause in its contract. You know what that means? They were seeking to protect themselves from this inability to discharge their responsibility in their contract. Force majeure. You can research it to understand what that means. You can go to experts to understand what is the implication of force majeure in a contract when it is invoked. NGC did that because the curtailment was so serious, so regular, and so sustained. It was not maintenance.
Pay attention to that.
It was a significant signal that our capacity to produce and supply
my audio, people?
could not meet
Mic
the
check,
contracts that NGC had
my
entered
audio?
into. And NGC was now facing liability claims for being unable to supply that contracted obligation. That's 2014. 2015, some of the users of gas in Point Lisas they were so desperate, started to begin to make their own search to look for their own gas because they were seeing that NGC was up to capacity and was not able to come through in any short term. So they might as well look for other gas if that's available. That was happening in 2014. 2015, 2016, after the election was in September. By early 2016, one of the first things we had to deal with was the MHTL plant being shut down completely. One of the major plants in Point Lisas, because of the gas shortage, that plant was pulled out of the production system. Approximately 80 workers, highly skilled workers, lost their jobs. 2017 didn't improve. The M2 plant was pulled out of the line. Another 60 or 70 workers lost their jobs. And of course, the country lost the production. And we started talking to you about it. And as Prime Minister from 2016, I prioritized my day work on looking to see where improvement could come, what work we had to initiate to bring a halt to the decline in gas, and even possibly turn it around to increase our production. Our gas
How was the
consumption
audio?
at peak
Audio check,
was
mic check.
4.1 billion
Give me a mic
cubic
check.
feet per
Thumbs
day.
up in the chat.
By
Is
the
my
time we
audio
came
okay?
into office, almost 1 billion less was being consumed because it wasn't available. And as you go on that slope, with the inflection of time, you are able to produce less and less. Today, as I speak to you, it's probably in the order of about 2.6 billion cubic feet, down from peak 4.1.
Mic check,
So,
mic
as
check.
Prime Minister,
Mic check.
looking at the country's medium and long term, where is the gas going to come from to keep us in this business? We looked throughout our own environment
How is
in
my
Trinidad and
audio? I
Tobago
don't want to be doing this,
and came
this
to the
live and then my audio
conclusion
is all messed up.
that
Give
there
me
was no
feedback on my
real
audio.
prospect of any major input from us here because we hadn't had a major gas find in this country for a long time. And we had, within our border, it's one of the most heavily explored areas in the world. We know next door, Venezuela has gas and more gas and surplus gas, and therefore it made good sense to look to Venezuela for a supply of gas when our supply was, to put it
Pay
mildly,
attention to
was
this
running
because
out.
we're going to be speaking on this later
We
on. Pay attention.
looked
This
at
is a
two
class right
aspects
now.
of going to Venezuela. One, we share we share 3 fields with Venezuela on our southern border. In order of size, the biggest one was Loran Manatee, the smallest one was Dorado,
Pay
and the
attention.
second smallest one was Coquina Mannequin. The country, PNM and UNC governments, for 15 years were following the normal arrangement of trying to have unitization, meaning Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago had to have agreement and together come to a point to extract that gas where the border runs through the gas field. 15 years, we made no real progress because ideas were different in Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago. And in Venezuela, the general policy in Venezuela is that they are not inclined, or they don't want to, and they will not be having their gas go abroad from Venezuela. They too want to get in the petrochemical business. That's what the position. And they were saying in those days, since they had 73% of Manatee and Loran, that field, you with 23%, you really can't tell us what to do. When we start doing something, your 23% will come into play. The government that I led thought that the time had come to reopen these discussions with Venezuela and put a different proposal on the table. Say to Venezuela, let us cancel unitization, and that is after I let them know the calamity that was facing us with respect to curtailment and gas running out. We put on the table, allow us to extract our 23%, because it's a small amount to you, but to us, it is major. And we got Venezuela to agree that we will cancel the unitization arrangement and those documents and reopen discussions on a new arrangement to allow Trinidad and Tobago to go in as the minority owner, to open the field and take its portion of the Loran Manatee field. That is going on right now. Shell as the operator, and that is the next body of gas that could come to Trinidad and Tobago from that arrangement. So when you hear misleaders telling you about all eggs in one basket, they are at the back of the hen because they don't know what's going on at the head. We had every hand in every possibility, even encouraging upstream producers to open small, hitherto uneconomic fields because we wanted every molecule of gas. And we also
Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Altia, yes, Pastor Google blocked me, that piece of shit. All right, so as I was saying, all right, excellent. So I'm playing this. This is the interview that Keith Rowley did 2 weeks ago. And he gives basically a refresher on everything that's happening today. Like with Kamla Persad-Bissessar being declared persona non grata by Venezuela and all gas deals off. The purpose of me playing this video with Rowley is he gives you like an update on what was happening with the gas plants in Trinidad all the way back in 2014. So right now we're in 2025 and we're in this problem where we not just facing a situation of reduced gas, we are facing a situation where we get no gas. All right, so listen to this.
opened up the deep and the ultra deep areas
I'm
for
still getting
tenders.
myself together. I'll
Of
be
course,
back
we
in
didn't
a
get any
second.
bids for the ultra deep for many occasions, and only in January.
Because it doesn't
only
make
in
sense me
January
talking
of
about
year
this and about
we
this,
got
and you don't understand what he's talking about.
and some interest in the ultra deep when we, the PLM, agreed to go along with Exxon to amalgamate the acreages out there which had attracted no interest and allow Exxon to go and see what they can do out there in the coming years.
Your cuckoo is already
But
done.
of course,
It's well done.
when we get down
It's
to
baked.
the situation of the second prong with Venezuela, we looked at fields owned by Venezuela.
Listen to this.
Not just the ones that we share, but the ones that are entirely in Venezuela. The nearest one, proven gas field, is the Dragon field across the Bocas out there. And incidentally, what made that argument so attractive to us in the PLM cabinet is that we have a pipeline from Western Tobago down through the Bocas, down to Point Lisas, to Atlantic LNG in Point 14, and the platform that has that is owned by Trinidad and Tobago and Shell. And the nearest field, 17 kilometers away, is the smallest of those fields in Venezuela. It's Dragon. And beyond Dragon, there are two larger prospects, one called Meliones, one called Patos, behind Dragon. And we saw that if we could get Venezuela to change its standard international policy on gas and come around to thinking that it could market its gas through Point Lisas, we will be doing something for Trinidad and Tobago and for Venezuela. And as Prime Minister, I led that charge. And I put Stuart Young as Minister of Energy and Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister to lead our delegation with our technicians from the Ministry of Energy. And we then went ahead to bring forward this whole idea of Trinidad and Tobago supporting its economy and its people and its future with gas, some of our gas coming from Venezuela. And Venezuela has untested potential acreages to the east of us and to the south of us, because we are in eastern Venezuela. Venezuela energy industry is to the west of us. But they have the largest oil reserve in the world, and they have a huge gas reserve as well. While we are struggling here to produce 2.6 BCF for our point, Lisa, as lifeblood, Venezuela flares approximately 2 billion cubic feet of gas per day in Venezuela.
Venezuela burns their gas. That's what the flare
So we have conversation between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. And this had nothing to do with who was in Washington wanting to change the government in Venezuela. That was a different argument, but we had to operate within that environment. And it was our skillful diplomatic competence that caused us to be able, one, to get Venezuela to agree to the Manatee-Lauren arrangement, and also to get Venezuela to agree to the Dragon arrangement. It surprises me today that many of the voices who are now cheering and praising and misleading you about Dragon and the importance of the prime ministers, this are the prime minister that when we had that agreement from Venezuela, it was the same thing. It was because we knew that it was so important and it was such a watershed event that I, as Prime Minister, took a chartered plane from Trinidad and took the entire available media to Caracas to see the signing of that agreement, because it was the breakthrough that we had hoped for. Unfortunately, when we came back to Trinidad, the most important stories that came out of that trip from our local media, one was some undescribable talking about there was no toilet paper in Miraflores Palace. That was one of the big stories in one of the newspapers.
Pay attention to
and
this.
The other one was I was in a conga line dancing with Maduro. Those are the two stories that dominated the media in Trinidad and Tobago in a situation where we had got Venezuela to agree. And what we had gone to do was to sign an agreement that was something that many people thought couldn't have happened. Let me tell you how far that agreement came from. Before we talked to Venezuela, and before we had any agreement signed, I, in my capacity as the country's #1 salesman, I went to London to meet the decision makers of Shell in London and to tell them
the job of the Prime Minister, hear that? The job of the Prime Minister of a country is to be the #1 salesman. Get that? You are selling your country and the resources of your country on a global stage. So your job as the Prime Minister is to be the representative and the #1 salesman of that country.
And took the entire available media to Caracas to see the signing of that agreement, because it was the breakthrough that we had hoped for. Unfortunately, when we came back to Trinidad, the most important stories that came out of that trip from our local media, one was some undescribable talking about there was no toilet paper in Miraflores Palace. That was one of the big stories in one of the newspapers. And the other one was I was in a conga line dancing with Maduro. Those are the two stories that dominated the media in Trinidad and Tobago in a situation where we had got Venezuela to agree. And what we had gone to do was to sign an agreement that was something that many people thought couldn't have happened. Let me tell you how far that agreement came from. Before we talked to Venezuela, and before we had any agreement signed, I, in my capacity as the country's #1 salesman, I went to London to meet the decision makers of Shell in London and to tell them what we think could happen in Trinidad and Tobago, what we were thinking in the government about trying to get gas from Venezuela. At that time, the gas market was down, and Shell looked at me and told me how much money they were losing per day. And therefore, my conversation to them was in a time when it didn't look as if that was something that we can take seriously. I kept on with the argument, and I kept on making the case. At the end of that meeting, the head of Shell said to me, okay, you go ahead. Because I had to tell them, as I'm telling you about this dragon field, understand, Trinidad and Tobago does not have the money to do it. Because by that time, the UNC had cleaned out the 17 billion
Democratic
at NGC.
have been
So any
from a
development
classified
program
side
like
briefing on
gas field development and pipeline, we couldn't fund without going to the Treasury. And you know what the Treasury was like then, and still is. So I said to Shell, this is good business where all of us can benefit. But understand that Trinidad and Tobago cannot fund this arrangement. And it was then that Shell said to me, leading my delegation, if you could get Venezuela
Pay
to
attention.
agree
Pay attention.
for you to use that gas field, Shell will find the funding as your partner. And that is how Shell is the operator and funding the arrangements on the Dragon Field, where the last thing we did out there was happening out there. I don't know where it is now, because the last time when I was in office, we had 2 ships on the field, mapping out the pipeline
No blocking,
routes,
no blocking.
looking at the well spotting arrangements
pull up.
for wells to be drilled.
Bricks. All right. Let's get this clear over here, right? This is not one of them other chats. This is the Workers' Right platform. We believe in free speech over here. If there's someone in the chat talking shit, then it is your job as a fellow citizen to combat his speech with better speech. Right? I found myself recently like getting upset with UNC supporters, but you can't really be mad at them because they have been brainwashed. You know, there were times in our lives when we were just like them. So our job as responsible citizens, no, don't block them, please. You know, because you don't learn anything, and that person doesn't learn anything. You know, political chat. Like for example, on Twitter, Elon Musk has made it a policy that no politician can block any citizen from speaking. Like when a politician actually blocks someone, he's actually blocking the voice of a citizen. Okay, so in this chat, I encourage you to fight out your differences with each other in the chat. You know, create a lively discussion among each other, and work out our differences together. You know, that's it. So back to Rowley.
For gas to come to Trinidad and Tobago.
You never know, but you may not learn anything from them, but they may be able to learn something from you. Like for example, right now, the people in this chat, they're learning about gas drawdowns. What is a gas drawdown? What is the problem that NGC was having for the past 10 years? We don't have gas, and we were highly dependent on getting the Dragon gas field up and running. Now we have nothing. And instead of everyone being in uproar, like, oh my God, we're screwed, because, you know, pretty soon you're going to see plants closing down. Plants that are dependent on our gas, you're going to see them closing down. Tech is dependent on the gas that comes out from NGC. What is going to happen to Trinidad? So now you have this. Actually, you know what? Before I even begin my speech, my whole point was for you to get a refresher on this whole situation between Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, and our dependence on gas. They have to learn. They have to learn because you know what? They have to learn. If not, you teach them. And yes, Point Lisas will close. So my whole point was first get this thing with Rowley out, so he teaches you guys what's going on, and then I give my part on it after.
Washington not interfering to put an end to it. Because at that time we had the OFAC license and we had a government in Washington.
So when this round is finished, I'll start my presentation.
In Washington, you have
Welcome to the Slimy Show, guys.
Trinidad and Tobago, you have the same story going on. Government change, elections have consequences. All of us could say that. American citizens, Trinidad and Tobago citizens. But at the time when we were going along with this, that was the situation. The government and people of Trinidad and Tobago had access to that gas field. Shell was funding it. And we had arrangements in place where the contract of lease of the gas field was between the sovereign state of Venezuela and the sovereign state of Trinidad and Tobago. We ensured that there was no middleman arrangement. We brushed aside attempts to have middleman arrangement, and we insisted to the president of Venezuela that the arrangement must be
right now?
between the government of Venezuela and the government of Trinidad and Tobago.
You hate this
there
man.
were
Don't you miss
instances
him right now?
when I had to send Stuart Young to Venezuela as a messenger with a post, with a letter to the president of Venezuela to ensure that this negotiation was not derailed or that decisions were not taken which were inimical to the interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It took time, it took patience, and it took diplomatic skill. I just want to tell you, as a result of the curtailment,
time
with a shortage
and
of gas in Point
patience and
Lisas,
diplomatic skill. You heard that?
ensured that there was no further new
So
investment in Point Lisas.
Basically, what Rowley is saying, we have to go beg Venezuela. That is it. That is what he's trying to say diplomatically. We have to be diplomatic with Venezuela. We have to go beg Venezuela because Venezuela wants their own gas for themselves. They want to get into the gas business. Understand that. This is politician talk.
You all observe that, right? Who will go and invest in another plant or to expand the plant if you are having that curtailment issue? And worse, because NGC since 2013 was in this situation of not being able to supply its full contractual arrangement to the various plants.
Yes, Michael.
And our claims were building up. By the time we came in,
we are begging Venezuela. Trust me on that.
Almost $2 billion in claims. I think it was about $2 billion in claims that NGC was facing.
Understand what he's saying?
So it wasn't
you
only
understand
the
what he's
money
saying?
in their savings that were removed in the current account of the government. They had a $2 billion claim, and that claim was growing for gas that they couldn't supply to the contracts in Point Lisas. One of the things that we did in treating with this situation, again led by Minister Stuart Young, a very eminent lawyer who was in the cabinet at the time, he led the negotiations, and we were able to negotiate away $2 billion in claims against the NGC.
Hear that?
Understand? So when you hear people saying that the government can do nothing as is now, I see fashionable with these people in office. You were there for 10 years and you did nothing. One of the nothings that we did was to negotiate away from NGC $2 billion in certified claims.
Billion. Pay attention, people.
And while I'm on
Pay
that
attention
subject
to this.
of negotiating away,
it doesn't matter if you hate this man. It doesn't matter
in
if
the
you call him
courthouse,
Rowan or
where there were
dictator or whatever. Pay
claims
attention to what
from
he's
one
saying.
state enterprise by contractors.
If you can't look at him, just turn off the video and listen to the audio.
$1.2 billion in certified claims that were fraudulently put on a state enterprise. You would have seen this appeal court upholding the decision a couple of weeks ago that conspiracy arrangements and criminal conduct resulted in NGC, in this EMBD company facing those claims, and we had to go to the court to fight it, and we won in the court, and the taxpayer escaped the payment of $1.2 billion. So those two issues alone.
Pay attention to these people.
$2.2 billion. $3.2 billion that
Welcome,
we saved this
29.
country. Just by those two instances. But we didn't go around crowing and looking for kudos and pat on the back. It was our job. And that job was led by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, and the Minister of Energy and State Enterprises, as it may be. That was our job. So, let me give you a little rough idea. When Mr. Jeremy, who I've already described, I have to apologize for the description I made of him, because I do have an affection for dogs, right? So I am not going to deal with him at this time. That's for later. But having said that, we spent over $100 million and got nothing to show for it. I want to take you down Trinidad and Tobago's pursuit of the dragon license. 2016, I'm just being advised that the claims at NGC was 8 billion, not 2 billion. 8 billion that we negotiated away. So, figure that out. 2016, Trinidad and Tobago and Shell discussed the potential of Dragon gas field, and Prime Minister agreed to lead the charge to Venezuela to open those discussions. So if you hear anybody telling you, as they're trying to tell you now, that when they were in government before, this is something that was happening and it took how many years, this started in 2016. Before 2016, there was no initiative in this country to access sovereign Venezuelan gas fields. There was unitization initiative for the shared fields on the border. But to say a Venezuelan gas field, that started in 2016. 2017 to 2018, technical and commercial negotiations continued among PDVSA, which is the Venezuelan equivalent oil company, that's the national oil company, PDVSA, is simply called PDVSA.
Pay attention to this.
And our NGC, 2017, 2018. And it wasn't done in a Vicky-Vai way. Overseen by the Prime Minister at Whitehall, and leading the team was the Minister of Energy, Minister Young, and a team from the NGC and the Ministry of Energy. I was the three-legged stool. Stuart Young, Minister, leading national team for Trinidad and Tobago. Shell had their team, and Venezuela had their team. And together, they sat around tables and worked out this idea, bringing it towards a point where a contract and a lease could be executed. 2019, remember we started 2016 working on this thing. 2019.
Pay attention to this man.
U.S. sanctions on
After this
Venezuela's
video,
energy sector.
regardless if you're
shut
UNC
down
or PNM, you
pursuit
will fall
of
in love with
Java. But by
Rowley
that
and
time,
respect the work he's
we had
doing.
made significant progress.
After today, I don't want to hear none of
We
y'all
are moving
calling into this
inexorably
radio station
towards
saying,
producing from a
you was there for the
proven
past 9.5 years and
But
y'all don't do
external
nothing.
forces
Pay attention to this man
added to our
and
burden.
understand the work that was put
We
in
now have to
for
go
you.
to the United States to negotiate with them from a zero position to one where we have to say to them, there's a case here for what we call a carve-out. You've put this blanket sanction against the world, but the case is to be made for Trinidad and Tobago to conduct its business with Venezuela and not be stymied
Michael,
by
you already
what
told us
you
what
are
platform
doing
you're
in
on
your foreign policy
on
with
the ground
Venezuela.
report. I know you.
That charge was led by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, who sought help. I'll tell you who the help was. By March 2020, at the end of 2019, Minister Young made several trips to Caracas. You would have seen the opposition making an issue about the number of trips, as if that is the important thing. It is because it was tenuous, It was sensitive, but it was very important. And it was important for the discussions to be kept going along, not to be left lying, so that good ideas could, you could wait, and then the officers change, and you start from scratch again and get nowhere. That's why the unitization took 15 years and didn't get anywhere. We made sure that we kept as part of the team. Minister Young was doing that. But the vice president of Venezuela saw it fit, because these discussions have to be face-to-face discussions in many instances. The vice president came to Trinidad and Tobago during COVID. And of course, what was the outcome of that? The outcome of the vice president coming here, discussing two things, Dragon and access to vaccines, caused the UNC government to call on the United States not to help us with what we are fighting for, but to use their heavy-handed sanction and sanction Rowley as Prime Minister and Stuart Young as Minister.
Pay attention to this.
That was the UNC's position.
Pay attention to this.
And when you are
what is so funny, this actually applies to today. All right? I'm going to get it when I start, but pay attention to what he just said and what the UNC did.
Good ideas could, you could wait, and then the officers change, and you start from scratch again and get nowhere. That's why the unitization took 15 years and didn't get anywhere. We made sure that we kept as part of the team. Minister Young was doing that. But the vice president of Venezuela saw it fit, because these discussions have to be face-to-face discussions in many instances. The vice president came to Trinidad and Tobago during COVID. And of course, what was the outcome of that? The outcome of the vice president coming here, discussing two things, Dragon and access to vaccines, caused the UNC government to call on the United States not to help us with what we are fighting for, but to use their heavy-handed sanction and sanction Rowley as Prime Minister and Stuart Young as Minister.
It's our job.
That was the UNC's position. And when you are sanctioned, the first thing they do,
it is our job as trainees to teach our fellow man. Right? So when they come in the chat, don't block them. I know they might be annoying. Some of them actually will come in to troll, but I want to try something new over here, where free speech, total free speech, where you can say whatever you want unless you violate YouTube's rules. Total free speech. But I want you guys to be fighting in the chat with each other and debating points. Let's get this all squashed out, and I want you to learn from this video that I'm playing right now.
Is deny you a visa.
After.
And if we were sanctioned, it means that all the meetings we had in Washington, in Houston, and in New York couldn't have been had. And we couldn't have advanced this thing, because being sanctioned, we couldn't have gone to the United States, and no American official could have dealt with us.
No blocking.
That was the action of the United States. I see today, Finance Minister Tanku is using the word...
Because if me at my age, 50-something years old, could actually change my mind on politicians, because look at how I started off. I initially started off as a Philip Edward Alexander supporter. Then I went over to the UNC side. Then as I started learning about the UNC, I got disgusted with the UNC and I started looking at the PNM. And that's why I'm back over on this side right now. I've been actually switching back and forth, depending on the information that comes in, and everyone is supposed to be doing that.
Unpatriotic
yes,
to describe PNM Senator Vishnu Danpol, yes, an expert in finance and public accounting,
you're supposed to be able to change your mind when it comes to politics.
That this government is leading us inexorably to the IMF. He is saying that that statement by Minister Dan Paul is unpatriotic. Well, Prime Minister, Finance Minister Tanku, what is unpatriotic? Is the UNC calling on the United States, begging them, pleading with them to deny a visa to the Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy so that we could not go to Washington to negotiate these things?
You hear that?
That is more than unpatriotic. That is, well, what's beyond that? If I say treason, if I say that, I'm not saying that because I don't think I want to say that they knew what they were doing. Because right now, my view is was the action of the United States. I see today, Finance Minister Tanku is using the word unpatriotic to describe PNM Senator Vishnu Danpal, an expert in finance and public accounting, who pointed out that this government is leading us inexorably to the IMF. He is saying that that statement by Minister Dan Paul is unpatriotic. Well, Prime Minister, Finance Minister Tanku, what is unpatriotic? Is the UNC calling on the United States, begging them, pleading with them to deny a visa to the Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy so that we could not go to Washington to negotiate these things? That is more than unpatriotic. That is, well, what's beyond that? If I say treason, if I say that, I'm not saying that
Treasonous.
because I don't think I want to
And you voted these people back into
say that
power.
they knew what they were doing. Because right now, my view is this government does not know what it is doing. Because no citizen of this country could know what you're doing and would be taking the positions that you're taking. I know you want to get credit. I know you want to be seen to be doing something. But if you understood the importance of these issues and how to deal with them, no patriotic citizen would have been doing the things that you're doing here. And of course, by 2022, lawyers were brought in to negotiate and finalize the contractual arrangements of the OFAC license. We had to have our lawyers involved to make the case and to walk through the American system all the way through the White House. I've been to the White House. Stuart Young has been there. I've been to the departments in Washington with the lawyers guiding. We got the best lawyers, and the best lawyers aren't cheap. But you want to make sure that we have some element of success, and in the end we were successful. When Chevron got a month-to-month license, we got a 2-year license.
You hear that?
We were the only country that had a 2-year license, OFAC license. We met with Democrats, we met with Republicans, we recruited into our arguments and our issues and our interests. The speaker, the chairman of committees. You would have seen Maxine Waters coming to Barbados to meet me in Barbados. You would have seen Benny Thompson. You would have seen a number of people. When we had the CARICOM 50th anniversary celebration here, you saw the powerful US delegation, bipartisan delegation that came here. It was because we had made those arrangements and those contacts in the US government across the floor. That's what it was. And of course, by the time we got to 2022, we had a gas project, and the United States president, not the president, supported that. By April of 2022, Minister Young was in Washington. And one of the people he met with in Washington in that go-round was a fellow called Senator Chris Dodd, right? He was the personal emissary of President Biden, appointed in preparation of the Summit of the Americas conference. And he was sent to Trinidad and Tobago to meet me. And I remained in contact with him throughout. As we got to Los Angeles and elsewhere, and the issue of this OFAC license was foremost in my discussion with emissary Chris Dodd. And in the end, Minister Young took over, and we got to the point where the OFAC license was eventually issued. By 2022, I could have said to you, if today I have to thank people for assisting Trinidad and Tobago with getting the OFAC license, I must thank the Prime Minister of Barbados.
Hear that?
The President, Prime Minister Mia Motley, former President of Suriname, President Santoki, President Irfan Ali of Guyana, and President Abinella of the Dominican Republic. These four heads of government and five heads of state worked alongside me, walked with me all the way to the Vice President's office and the President of the Summit of the Americas. We got to Los Angeles and elsewhere, and the issue of this OFAC license was foremost in my discussion with emissary Chris Dodd. And in the end, Minister Young took over, and we got to the point where the OFAC license was eventually issued. By 2022, I could have said to you, if today I have to thank people for assisting Trinidad and Tobago with getting the OFAC license, I must thank the Prime Minister of Barbados, the President, Prime Minister Mia Motley, former President of Suriname, President Santoki, President Irfan Ali of Guyana, and President Abinella of the Dominican Republic. These four heads of government and five heads of state worked alongside me, walked with me all the way to the Vice President's office and the President's office in Washington. And they came there in support of the argument being presented by Trinidad and Tobago that notwithstanding what U.S. policy against Venezuela is, there's a bigger picture here, and that picture is the economic well-being of Trinidad and Tobago. Because I had to make the case to the United States that if we are denied a sustaining flow of gas, it would have far-reaching deleterious consequences for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, whose economy and standard of living would be drastically lowered. And that is not in the U.S. interest. That was the argument we are carrying. We have 275,000 people in the United States. Many of them support families in Trinidad and Tobago. So if there's that difficulty in the United States, it reflects itself in Trinidad and Tobago. And if our economy contracts in Trinidad and Tobago, it will reflect itself in everything that the United States is fighting against, which is modern immigration and security issues on their border. Those are the arguments we carried. And in the end, with the support of those heads of government and heads of state, we were able to convince the U.S. authorities. That is how Trinidad and Tobago got to where we were when the UNC came into office and met an OFAC license, met Shell on the ground, met a 30-year lease for the Jargon Field.
All of that is
and of course, the situation, the political situation, had it stymied. The political situation had it now where it is a temporary, how should I put it? It's more like an onion where as you peel off the skin, you have to go deeper and deeper. But if you ask yourself, what exactly is a Dragon Field? Why is it so important to Trinidad and Tobago? It's a field that has approximately 4.1 to 4.2 trillion cubic feet of gas. That's about a third of the existing proven reserves of Trinidad and Tobago. When we get access to that field, if we got access to it today, we would have improved our reserves by a third. And it's huge in the scheme of things, where we are moving down from 4.1 production consumption to 3.8 to 3.6 to 2.9 to 2.6 to 2.3. If in that scenario
So
you could improve
do you
your
understand what that just means? You're moving down in consumption. If a country is going down in the consumption of gas, that means its economy is contracting. Understand that part.
proven reserves, and I'm not here talking about Exxon going to start to do seismic out in the ultra deep, or Grenada hoping to find a producing well. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a proven field, proven and tested field, which adjoins a larger proven field. What are the prospects of that? And what is the value of a field of that nature? Approximately 4 billion cubic feet, depending on the quality of the gas and the price in the marketplace. At the very lowest market arrangement that we are familiar with, that field's gross value is approximately valued at over 10 billion US dollars. If on the other hand you look at, and that is dealing with a market where gas is about 2.5 per MMCF, right? If the market goes up to, like, say, $4, that field is now would be gross value of over 16 billion US dollars. And if you're operating in the market of $6 gas, which is where some of our arrangements are in the restructuring of the LNG business, if you operate in there,
these sound effects are stupid.
you could talk about a field that is worth 24 to 25 billion US dollars. That's what Dragon is. But of course, I'm not talking about profits here. I'm talking about the value of the field. Because by the time you take out the subtract the costs of operation, the taxes and royalties, which will go to owners and whoever else, and of course, the profits come at the end, right? But the value of the field to all participants, that's what you're talking about. And of course, when John Jeremy said that we spent over $100 million on the Dragon field and had nothing to show. Now, when Exxon got that license the other day to proceed, you all in the media, did this government tell you that they got some money from Exxon? A bonus, a signing bonus? Did they tell you that?
Pay attention.
Because that is standard in the industry. When you give up an area to be explored, the person who wins the bid, it is standard that they pay a bonus to the owner, the government. Right away. We get that all the time from all the people who get contracts to go on this one. So if you're going to Venezuela and you get a gas field of the kind I just described, why are you surprised that you have to pay a signing bonus there? And NGC
Learn this, people. Learn this.
has a share of the responsibility as it would have a share of the product. And there's a split in how the gas is to be used when it comes to Trinidad. It's a 30-70, where 70% will go to LNG and 30% go to domestic.
Pay attention to
In
this.
that domestic is used by Tech. What is the implication of that for electricity rates in Trinidad and Tobago? What is the implication of that for the petrochemical industry? So all of these are interests. So when John Jeremy said the prior arrangement covered the whole thing and they somehow did a superior thing by getting some step-by-step arrangement for 6 months to meet benchmarks, you should know now what you're dealing with. Because he correctly said the original arrangement covered the whole gamut, right? Under a 2-year OFAC license. And I tell you something else too. One of the reasons why we were able to convince some Republicans in the parliament in America to go along and support us with this is because we had spare capacity to produce ammonia and fertilizers. Those states have huge agricultural demand. And when we told them where we stood in the supply of agricultural product, fertilizers, they realized there was a benefit to be had. And they came on board in supporting the carve-out. Antigua was with us on this issue, spoke eloquently and forcefully about this carve-out for Trinidad and Tobago, because Antigua knows that if Trinidad and Tobago is healthy, Antigua is healthy. And if Trinidad and Tobago is not healthy, Antigua will ail. And CARICOM was right there with us. You should have heard the presentation made by the Prime Minister of Barbados and the President of Suriname on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago. I could tell you, one of my closest colleagues in CARICOM who stood with me shoulder to shoulder, a very convincing speaker and a Caribbean patriot, President Irfan Ali of Guyana. He never missed an opportunity. When he spoke at the Summit of the Americas, I don't think his statement about Guyana was more powerful than the statement he made about Trinidad and Tobago on this very issue in Los Angeles. But in Trinidad and Tobago, that passes, with the daily news. But when it comes to a situation where the government is trying to fool you and is lying to you and trying to revise history, all of a sudden everybody is interested. I see the Chamber of Commerce praising the government for getting a roof license. What do you praising them for? What do they have? You know what they got?
Nothing.
The Attorney General refuses to tell us. What the contract is. Are you going to begin to negotiate tabula rasa, clean tabletop? Is that what Mr. Rubio asked you to do? Can you pay Venezuela for its gas? Because we already know when the Americans say you could take the gas but you mustn't pay for it, Venezuela said,
what?
In Spanish, some unprintable words. And we had to go back to Washington and negotiate again with the Americans and say, listen, we will have to find a way. We can't tell you what your foreign policy should be, but it's having this effect on the outcome. And we renegotiated with the Americans to the point where eventually they agreed that we could pay the people for their assets. What is the position today? We do not know. And whatever it is, it only lasts for 6 months. And that cannot be an improvement on what was there for 2 years, and of course, covered the whole gamut of interests between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. And finally, I want to say this. If today there's an OFAC license, provisional or otherwise, regardless of the terms and conditions, if today it turns out that the most important thing to happen now is the negotiation between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela, because we now know the parameters of what the US will tolerate. Right? Unfortunately, it is in an environment and a climate where military presence and regime change is closer to us than ever. But if today, what is required is Trinidad and Tobago talking to Venezuela to bring Venezuela around to get us back to where we were on the day when the last OFAC license was cancelled. If we can't get that done today, it is largely going to be because of the misbehavior and the misstep and the misspeaking and the carelessness and the don't care that of the government of Trinidad and Tobago dating back to 2016.
Welcome. All right, let's get it started. My boss just came on the line and booked me up and said, get the show started, get the show started. So here we are. Welcome to the Slimy Show. Welcome, 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 one and all, Trinidad and Tobago and whoever else is listening. Welcome to the Slimy Show, broadcast on the Workers' Right platform and on YouTube. Let me start that over. Welcome to the Slimy Show, broadcast on the Workers' Right platform and on the Slimy Show on YouTube. And also Petty Mafia for the first time ever on Twitter. Like and share the stream. Like and share the stream. We're about to get this started. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The number to call in is 347-791-3311 on WhatsApp. WhatsApp only. Do not call me directly from Trinidad and Tobago. I will not be responsible for that charge. WhatsApp only. The number to call 347-791-3311. I would like to hear what are your thoughts on what you just learned or what you just refreshed your memory on, right? So our mission here on the Workers' Rights platform is to spread knowledge to the people. I'm going to try something new over here. There's going to be no blocking. If I cannot challenge you, if I cannot defeat you with my words, with my intellect, then I do not deserve to be on this platform. So I am making a commitment to you to never silence the voice of any of my viewers. So once again, welcome to the Slimy Show. Why is this not on?
Living in your house.
Yes.
Trying to raise your
welcome, welcome. Okay. I wanted to speak about Miss Munzami today because she called my name once again on the ground report. But first, let's actually do a refresher on Essequibo and Venezuela. That's going to be the slimy class for tonight. We're going to learn about Essequibo and this area between Venezuela and Guyana and why they are fighting with each other. So I went on to a live a little while ago, and the people were talking about the tensions that's currently happening between Venezuela and Guyana. I reported yesterday about the false flag attack that happened on the gas station on Sunday, where one girl passed away. I just had a brain fart and I forgot everything I was just saying. Hold on, let me see if I can refresh my memory. Because I'm doing this, I'm not using a script. I'm actually going from my brain. When I first started doing this, I used to have like a script that I would read from, but now I'm starting to do this on the fly. I'm getting the hang of it. I'm getting the hang of like clicking these buttons and showing all the. So welcome to the Slimy Show, one and all. If you think you have the intellect and the cojones or the ovarian fortitude to stimulate me intellectually, the number to call is 347-791-3311. I want to hear from you on WhatsApp. But if you don't call, that's no problem. Let's get on with the class. So, we're going to get into the... Oh, I got to switch screens. Hold on. All right. Okay. Tonight we're going to be talking about Essequibo. And Mr. Rima, if you're in the chat, please feel free to call in. I need to speak to you about some very important things, actually about my next presentation. It's critically important, and since you're supposed to be the aficionado on Venezuela, I'm pretty sure people on the chat will be looking forward to hear from you. So okay, this dispute that is happening between, so my goal here is to teach you about what's happening between Guyana and Venezuela, and by the end of this you should be on the side of Venezuela. Got that? Because Venezuela is technically in the right with everything that they're doing here. So I'm gonna try to give you from what I know from memory, but I'm also going to be referring to this page on Wikipedia, even though Wikipedia is really, you shouldn't be using this as a source for much, but for just as a general information source, Wikipedia is good for this mission. So this fight goes back to 1835. The British government commissioned German-born explorer naturalist Robert Herman Schugmog, whatever, to survey British Guyana's boundaries. This survey resulted in what came to be known as the Schomburg Line, which was rejected by the Venezuelan government and the British. And even the extended Schomburg Line did not include the entire Cuyuni River Basin, which was claimed by Britain. So tensions worsened after the discovery of gold mines in the region in 1876, culminating with Venezuelan President Antonio Guzman Blanco severing diplomatic relations to the United Kingdom in 1887. So I'm gonna repeat that again because my computer all of a sudden just started acting up with me doing nothing. Like it's using CPU powers. Hold on. The computer just started freezing up for no reason. Alright, so where was I? So in 1887, Venezuela severed relationships with the United Kingdom in 1887. And let's fast forward a bit. They got into some negotiations where they had to negotiate this whole thing with the Essequibo region, and they were given a representative from the United States to negotiate on the position on the behalf of Venezuela. So check this out. Two imperial forces were sent to negotiate a situation that involved a colonized land. So Venezuela was represented by the United States in the negotiation against Britain. As was expected, the United States screwed over Venezuela in the negotiations. So that led to some more disputes. Fast forward to 1962. So after gold was discovered in the Essequibo region, it was determined in 1962 that no development, none, would happen in the Essequibo region. That region was just supposed to remain untouched. Right? Let's fast forward again to the 2000s. All right, I don't want to use this Wikipedia document. Let's just go from my memory. So fast forward into the 2000s. Guyana and ExxonMobil started doing explorations for oil in violation of this agreement that they had in 1969. Venezuela found out about the exploration but did nothing. And when it came finally for Venezuela to actually when they actually finally did act, they sent out like a warrior one of those warships over to Exxon to see what was going on. And there was some kind of conflict that happened over there, but this was in the 2000s. So Venezuela was in the right. Understand this. Venezuela was in the right by going and actually using force in this situation to try to reclaim the property that which technically belongs to them from what they say, but it was remain disputed. But there was no development, there was no exploration, there was no nothing to happen on that land because of the whole drama that happened when gold was discovered in the Essequibo region. So that leaves us to where we are today, right? So when you see these people and this could be another reason why Guyana doesn't really speak too much about this, because Guyana only became a country. What's up, Rajesh? What is going on with this spell check? So Guyana only became a country just like recently. So all of this negotiations that happened with Venezuela actually happened before they became an actual country. Before they were called French Guyana and stuff like that. So this is where we are today, dealing with the whole situation between Guyana and Venezuela. So now let's jump back over to Trinidad. So I just wanted to get that off my head because I saw another live earlier, and they were making it seem like Venezuela was the aggressor, like Venezuela just for no reason is just going around and attacking Guyana. It is not like that. Guyana is in violation of the agreements that they had made with Venezuela in the 1960s. That's that. So back to news to today. Why did the music keep cutting off? I really need to pay attention to this main screen instead of looking at the chat. All right. So the chat is actually distracting me from what I have to say. So if you guys want to come in here and learn, welcome. Just School. Me and you. All right. Welcome Patricia. Welcome Just School. Welcome Rajesh. Anne Marie Arthur. Welcome Altia. Welcome Sadiq O'Brien. Welcome. Did I pronounce that right? 29 Super C. Miss Arima. Miss Arima, I need you to call in. The number to call in is 347-791-3311. Let's actually get this into a freaking call-in show like they have. This music is supposed to stay on. And if you guys have any questions, just ask them in the chat. So back to my main screen here. What did I want to talk to you about today? I wanted to talk about Munzami. No. Nah, not today. Not today. Mr. Rima, I need to talk to you. Please call me. Tomorrow I want to do a presentation on Trinidad and Tobago Television, TTT. I would like to give like a nice little history of TTT. And I need your input on that. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, your Prime Minister has been declared persona non grata. That means no one in the Venezuelan government is supposed to interact with this woman. So I would like to send out a round of applause to Penny Beckles for having the balls. No, let's not say that. For having the ovarian fortitude to actually welcome, because we actually finally need adults in this room. Kamla Persad-Bissessar has been acting like a child, like a petulant child. And Marie Munilal Unipas, guys. I really should be watching the chat. You guys are distracting me from my presentation. Okay. Breaking news. No, well, not really breaking. Another boat, another fisherman vessel has been blown up And I want you guys to pay attention to this video again. Does this look real? I am actually, you know what? The conspiracy theorist in me is telling me that all of these, no, Maduro is not scared of Trump. Maduro is not scared of Trump in any way, shape, form, or fashion. He is not. And that news that that came out last week, that President Maduro actually offered up all of Venezuela's resources to Trump, was bullshit. That was not true. So another report coming out last night. Donald Trump blew up another boat. I have been looking at these videos, and I am partly convinced that this is artificial intelligence. Until the U.S. reveals what kind of weaponry they're using to take these out, I would say this is artificial intelligence. If this was a missile strike or a drone strike, you would actually see the missile coming in. But instead, what you see is a boat that just exploded. There is no incoming. There is no drone, because I've seen footage, war footage of missile strikes and drone strikes, and it looks nothing like this. So the conspiracy theorist in me is thinking that all of these murders that you and I will call it for what it is, murders that you see actually happening outside our borders is not real. I don't believe it. And I'm into graphics, and so if a boat is hit by a missile, why is it still afloat? Why doesn't it sink immediately? Why don't you see like the boat taking on water or anything like that? Like, what kind of ordnance are they using to take this out? So that's that. I don't believe this. Welcome to the Slimy Show, guys. Like and share the live. This is my profile on X for you guys to follow me at Penny Mafia. Trinis are actually just starting to make a breakthrough on X, and there's a lot of good, fun Trinidadians on X right now. Janice is one of the good ones. You need to follow her. Like, this is what's happening on X right now.
Look, me see him and kill me. Me see him. Me see him. Why they head for the people them? Why? Why? Me see him and kill me.
I'm sure.
Why? Me see him. Why? See him tree. Why? Look, me see him and kill me. Me see him.
All right, let me get my slide up for you guys. Renison actually pushing me like a slave master earlier. Right?
Wow,
He is in my ass. Renison been in my ass since this morning to do this live. He is literally like a slave master. Yo, what you doing? Why you not live? What going on? What are you doing? And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to congratulate the Workers' Right Platform for being the first political chat to actually be monetized. If you would notice, when you look at your chat button, you will see like a little dollar sign. That means you can actually send Renison money. So if you like what we're doing here and you want to see us to remain independent voices, like true independent voices, you need to support Renison and the work that he's doing. I want to get into this video with Naked. right now on Twitter, Kamla Persad-Bissessar is getting clunged like crazy. Where is this clown? This might be something interesting to play for you guys. But let's find this video with David Naked. How does this make you feel, Trinidad and Tobago? Because on other talk show programs, they say that Osprey is taking off of bases in Trinidad. Wait, where Rima? Mr. Rima, you don't need internet to call me, or do you? How does this make you feel, Trinidad and Tobago? Does this make you feel safe? Are these Osprey helicopters here to fight drugs? Or are there targets in Trinidad that is going to get you bombed? Does this look beautiful, guys? We got military hardware in Trinidad and Tobago. And with this, I haven't heard any declarations yet, because there's been multiple bombings happening in Guyana. This is not the first bombing, right? So the bombing that happened on Sunday was like I think the third bombing that happened in Guyana. And the person they found, the Spanish person, was not Venezuelan. He was actually from Brazil. So they are trying very hard to point to get their false flag. Yo, my channel is actually pretty active. Yo, I had Naked in my face all day long. Now I can't find him. How is my audio, guys? Oh, yes, here it is. I started off my live wrong. Sorry, Gary. We gotta start this off with a prayer, ladies and gentlemen. So let's pause for a second. Here we go. Let's have a moment of silence as we bow our heads in prayer.
Reminder of the imperial arrogance that has long treated Caribbean lives as expendable in the name of security. Let us be clear, this is not protection, this is recolonization. Trinidad and Tobago's alignment with US military objectives marks a catastrophic betrayal of the Caribbean consensus that our region must remain a zone of peace. In a single stroke, our leadership has reversed decades of struggle towards regional autonomy, from the Federation dream to the founding principles of CARICOM. By inviting a foreign power with documented history of anti-Black, xenophobic, and extractive aggression into our waters. This government has traded the dignity of the people for the optics of proximity to empire. We must name it for what it is: the sale of sovereignty dressed as diplomacy. What we are witnessing, the invasion of our Caribbean waters, the killing of 32 men on alleged drug boats without due process or evidence, is not justice. It is murder. It is...
All right, so let's go with the conspiracy theory, because you guys are slimy over here, right? Let's go with the conspiracy theory. Let's just say these boats are artificial intelligence. That's what I'm going with. If you were a government and you were the government being attacked, saying that this is happening in your waters, the proper thing for that government being attacked to do is say, hey, you killed my citizens, you are bad. And then they will come up with crisis actors. They will like pull up people from wherever, like literally actors, and they will like make up families, and you will see pictures of crying, whatever. Or, this could be happening now. I don't know. For example, recently, you guys, who was the first to report that two Trinidadian citizens were killed in that last boat strike? Who was the first news outlet to report that? That didn't originate from Trinidad, did it? It originated from, if I understand, the BBC, which is in England. So I think we are seeing like head games being played with us, and but I don't know. But that's just what I think, like in the back of my head. It's a conspiracy theory, but let's just play out with everything
Imperial
here. Sorry
violence
for
dressed
interrupting her
up once
prayers.
again in the rhetoric dog whistle of security and war on drugs. Again, let us be clear, this is not about drugs. It is about natural resources. It is about oil. It is about power. The United States, abetted by local collaborators, has long used narratives to justify control over territories rich in natural resources and geostrategic access. Our region has been a pawn in their empire building for centuries. With the apparent complicity now of our own leadership, the cycle continues.
Complicity.
To our goodly Prime Minister, I say this: allegiance to empire is not leadership, it is capitulation. It is the mimicry of colonial power masquerading as progress, even as it alienates us from our Caribbean brothers and sisters who continue to insist on peace, independence, and regional self-determination. I write not as a partisan. I have long unsubscribed from our party-led politics, nor do I subscribe to the bankrupt capitalist system that sustains them. I write as a Caribbean socialist, aligned with the unrealized visions of those who imagined freer, fairer, more humane futures for our people. From Claudia Jones to Una Marson to CLR James to Morris Bishop to Audre Lorde to Sylvia Winter, may they all walk in power. Their work reminds us that another world was always possible, even when empire insisted otherwise. What we face now is a moral and ideological crisis, not just of governance, but of imagination. It is time to reclaim both. We must begin to dream again, knowing we do not have all the answers, but still willing to painstakingly envision a brave new hybrid, uncolonized way of being, living and thriving outside of the death-riddled machinery of capitalism and militarism that has never served us. Caribbean sovereignty is not for sale.
Amen.
Caribbean lives are not collateral damage.
Amen.
And peace, true peace, must never be bartered for power. I am taking this public stance for my baby girl so that one day when history measures who stood silent and who spoke, there will be record that I did not sit idly by. However small, inconvenient, maybe terrifying or inconsequential it may seem to some, silence in moments such as these is complicity. So I stand here today
Amen.
for my daughter, for our children, for those not yet born. Let this be on record. I am Abeo Aisha Christabel Jackson, sixth-generation American from the lineage of Amphi and Bashana Jackson.
Amen. Amen, sister. That whenever I hear her, she just puts energy and life into me. My God, I wish
Reminder of the
I wish there were more
arrogance
Trinis like this. For real. All right, so you guys say you want to see the Guyanese false flag attack. Let's pull that up. I actually had another video to. Oh, here we go.
reminder.
Let's pull this up right here. I did a presentation on this yesterday. You should have tuned in yesterday, man. You're late. Okay, here we go. So this, oh, pay attention to this. Ah, crap. Yes, Bunks Up, you blocked me. Welcome, Bunks Up Central Network. Yes, you blocked me in your chat like about 2 months ago. Me and you were having a debate, and you couldn't handle the power of my voice, the strength of my intellect and argument, and you blocked me. Kindly unblock me, ma'am. Yes, yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, Bunks Up, you did. Or one of your moderators did. But welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so I want you guys to look at this guy at the start here. This was horrible. Oh, God, I hate it. This is the guy. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to tell me, does this look like Pablo? Or does he look like CIA? The number to call in is 347-791-3311. I want to hear your thoughts on this thing that's happening in Guyana. Because, pay attention to this, right? Kamla Persad-Bissessar said she will authorize United States troops on Trinidad soil if Venezuela attacks Guyana. Right? She said that. So, theoretically, technically, the next step that's supposed to happen is Venezuela is supposed to attack Guyana. If this is supposed to play out as it's supposed to play out, you know, the chess moves that are happening right now on the global stage, then something has to happen in Guyana. And we've been seeing over the past few weeks, there's been consistent terrorist attacks happening inside of Guyana. This is not the first. This is like the third explosion. And this is the guy who they're saying is Pablo who did the explosion. This guy on the screen. Is the screen up? Yeah, this guy. They're saying him. This guy on the right is Pablo. This guy on the right is Pablo. Look at him. Hola, Pablo. This guy speaks the Espanol on the right side, but this guy, I don't know, man. Kind of looks like a gringo, don't you think? So, Trinidad and Tobago, it's time to wake up. Right? If this is happening in Guyana, you can damn sure expect it to happen in Trinidad too. But Trinidad is under a state of emergency, right? So if an attack was supposed to happen in Trinidad under a state of emergency, then that would be extra pressure on the police. And then they would be like, why isn't the police doing their job? Why, you know? So I don't know. Maybe that's why nothing has happened in Trinidad yet. But I want to hear your thoughts. Maybe I'm going a little crazy here? What do you think? And it also came out in the news today that the guy that they arrested is not Venezuelan. He is Espanol, but he's from Brazil. And yes, Brazilians are Portuguese. They speak Portuguese over there. Okay. Welcome, Mr. Rima. You know what? I'm going to do something right here. Boom! Mr. Rima has been attacked, slandered, all of this stuff all over social media. In here, Mr. Rima has free speech. In here, Mr. Rima waves the big stick. Welcome, Mr. Rima. Say hello. Oh, yeah, I'm going to play that next, Mr. Rima. They actually clung in your prime minister over in Venezuela. In Venezuela, they can actually protest freely because they have rights and all that stuff over there, right? But over here in Trinidad, you guys are still fighting. This is the shit. Listen to this crap. This is the shit that I hear this morning with you guys. So because of the state of emergency, you guys cannot protest. So on another, and I'm gonna give them the props for this, right? Because they're actually trying. So in the rules with this state of emergency, you could only line up peacefully, side by side on the sidewalk. So in this freaking live this morning, these people were actually planning to go out in the street right now and protest peacefully, silently, single file, in a line, in front of the parliament, in front of this parliament, this loving, caring UNC government. They want to go peacefully protest and expect anything to happen. Let me tell you guys something. Ooh, and this is so perfect. Let me tell you how you should treat your politicians. Your politicians are there to serve you. Right? Politicians are there to serve you. When a politician is in office, they should fear for their life. So when the government tells you do not protest, we are under a state of emergency, that's a form of control. Protesting is an act of defiance. Protesting is an act of disobedience. So how are you gonna line up single file, orderly, in a nice neat line for this government and expect them and expect them to hear you? Let me show you guys how Nepalese, our fellow brown skin brothers, how they treat their politicians. Let me show you this. This happened about a month ago. This right here is the Minister of Finance. And I want you guys to like I want you to all you trainees out there listening to the live, I want you to close your eyes. Just close your eyes. After you watch this video, I want you to close your eyes because I'm going to play it over again. I want you to close your eyes and imagine. I'm getting in trouble for saying this. Hold on a second. Wait, Renaissance told me to get this for you guys. Because I learned recently that Trinidad has sedition laws. A YouTuber came to Trinidad a few months ago and he got arrested for some stupid shit. So if I say what I was going to say, I will get myself in trouble. So I don't want to do that. But I want you to close your eyes and imagine this was happening in Trinidad. That is the Nepalese Minister of Finance. This is how you protest. This is how you get change. This is how you protest. You don't line up neatly with a placard and say down with Kamla. What do you think Kamla will do? This is how politicians should be evacuating the parliament after a protest. But you guys under a state of emergency in Trinidad. You all can't do this, right? I'm sorry, Trinidad, I'm sorry. You guys can't do this fun stuff. You guys are not built for this. Huh? You guys like to have your independence and everything just handed to you, right? You guys want your freedom just given to you by Kamla. Kamla's gonna make everything better. Oh. No, I'm not ready for this yet. Tomorrow I'm going to do a presentation on TTT. I want you guys to tune into that. It's very, very, very interesting. You guys, welcome to the Slimy Show. I have to find some kind of good music to play in the background, because now that this channel is monetized, and this is so messed up with YouTube. What they're doing on YouTube is actually forcing you to censor yourself, because the videos that I uploaded yesterday, there was like some music and stuff in the content, and we got copyright hits on the music, and you can't curse. So I have to be a good boy. I can't really curse in the videos. So having a monetized channel is really not that great, because they make you into a bitch. I don't want to be a bitch. I don't want to have anybody policing my mouth. So that's why I have a very intense reaction when I'm blocked. Actually, that is why I started this whole shit in the first place, you know. I was good in the ground report chat until Anna Munsami started attacking me. I was good. I would have been a nothing, nobody. I would have been like just cool. If they didn't start blocking me in the ground report chat, I would have been just like just cool. And actually, I think it was Just Cool was the one who actually introduced me to Pastor Google. I don't want to talk about them people. Again, Vex. Tomorrow I'll be doing a presentation on Miss Munzami. I hear she was appointed as a board member to Trinidad and Tobago television service. So tomorrow I would like to do a little presentation on Trinidad and Tobago TV, TTT. You guys will love it. You guys will love it. Actually, let me show you the slides that I have so far. You will love it. This is an intro. This is a small little intro, right? Here we go. Let's bring back some memories, guys. Let's reminisce a little bit. How you feeling tonight? Let's reminisce. Let's go down memory lane for a little bit. Let's talk about TDT. A gem of Trinidad and Tobago. Our first television station with Channel 2 and Channel 13. You guys gonna love this shit. The number to call in is 347-791-3311. I want to know what's on your mind today. How do you feel that your Prime Minister is persona non grata? What a gem of Trinidad and Tobago. Is not Dominic Kamla Persad? How does this make you feel? Hearing this music, looking at these old figures that you grew up with? Does this make you feel warm inside? That this is something born from the loins of Trinidad and Tobago. Right. That's what I was talking about. And what is so stupid about Andy and the ground report? He knows that I'm a tech guy. Right? He knows I'm a tech guy. And the first time they started trying to block me in the chat, I actually started acting out. Like I started doing like more posts on social media and more and more and more and more and more. So the more people try to silence me, the more I want to actually speak out, because they're doing it for a freaking reason. So that is why I am here today, because I've looked at what Trinidad has to offer. I've looked at both sides. I've looked at the UNC. I've looked at the PNM. On the UNC side, there seems to be more media. You got the ground report. You got Heavy NTC. You got Felix. On the PNM side, you have Bunks Up. Boom! Yeah, you got Bunks Up, and now you have me. But don't consider me PNM. Don't put me in that label, because I flip back and forth all the time. So today I might be PNM, tomorrow might be something else. I am of a communist mindset. But I'll call myself a socialist. Don't try to silence my voice. So the goal of this channel is to report news to you in an honest fashion. I am actually not being paid for this. I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. My actual business is suffering right now, because the 5 hours that I spent online yesterday for that 50 cents. Thank you, Google. Thank you, Google. We got 50 cents for that 5-hour live yesterday. Big up Workers' Right. Big up Workers' Right. So I am not dedicated to any party. I am a free speaking. So maybe Bounce Up, you should unblock me. Maybe Bounce Up, unblock me. Maybe. All right. I'm actually streaming on the Workers' Right platform and the Slimy channel. But thank you for viewing the Slimy channel. That's the main channel. Everybody else is on Workers' Right. But anyway, you will hear truth, independence, and honesty from me at all times. I would not be fighting for any party per se. I'll be fighting for what is right. That is my job. That is my goal. Even though Pastor Google is great at what he does, he is still partisan. Because I called into his show last week. Oh, by the way, I'm blocked on Pastor Google's channel. Yes, Pastor Google blocked me. I wouldn't call you a but then again, you know what? I made a bet with Pastor Google. I made $100 bet with him that that Jack Warner would be pardoned before budget day, and I lost that bet. But because Pastor Google blocked me and he blocked my voice, there's no way for me to actually give that money to him. So sad. Sorry, Pastor. You know what? You know what I offer you, Pastor Google? This is what I offer you. Double or nothing. Nah, forget that. Let's just cancel that. So back to TTT and the illustrious history that of the Trinidad and Tobago gem. And what I would like to do, I would like to highlight some of the board members for TTT, some of the distinguished board members for TTT, and the accomplishments that they achieved in Trinidad. So stay tuned tomorrow for my presentation on Trinidad and Tobago television. You will love it. You will love it. You will love it. You will love my presentation. I'm telling you right now. Yeah, Pastor Google is biased. And I don't respect that. Did you miss this music? Alright, that's just a sneak peek. That's just a sneak peek. But if you are right thinking, Trini, you will know where I'm going with this presentation. Right? If you are right thinking, Trini, you will know where I'm going with this presentation. So tomorrow, so I'm still building up the slides for that one. Hopefully I'll have it for you by tomorrow. If Miss Arima calls me. Miss Arima, the number to call in is 347-791. I have bad allergies. That's why you see me rubbing my nose like this. Oh, what a time to freeze up. Son of a bitch. So I would like to wish a heartfelt and warm congratulations to Anna Munsami on her recent board appointment to TTT. Let's give her a round of applause. Anna Munsami, there's no one, there's no one, there's no one more deserving of that position. Ladies and gentlemen, Trinidad and Tobago, I'd like to offer a heartfelt congratulations to Miss Munsami. Bravo, 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 lady. But like I told you guys, tomorrow I would like to do like an in-depth presentation on TTT, and I hope you tuned in for it. No, the two guys. What two guys in the Guyana bomb? There's one guy. No, I have allergies on it. My nose is freaking itching me. Oh, I'm gonna do some comedy tomorrow for you, Just Cool. Yeah, and Pastor Google, he. You see what we have here in America is we have partisan journalists and we have independent journalists here in America. You can tell the people that are paid off. If you're on Twitter, you would see this thing that going around on Twitter that the Jews are paying influencers $7,000 per post. You know, so people like that, people that sell their voices, have no respect in my book. And what is happening in Trinidad is you have no independent media voices. Bounce up, I don't see your work because I'm blocked, and since I'm blocked, I don't even bother to go to your channel. Once somebody blocked me, I just don't go to the channel anymore. The only reason I troll the ground report is because there's so much freaking content. I want you guys to hear something. I want you guys to laugh today. Hold on a second. Just Cool. The number to call in is 347-791-3311. Come on, Papa. Show me what you got. But you know what, Just Cool? You have this promise from me. I would never ever block you. No matter how stupid and how dotish you are in the chat, I would never ever block you. You're free to spew whatever nonsense you want to spew forever. Thank you for being here. Where's the slides that I made yesterday? Here's a presentation that I didn't play for you guys the last time. Since you guys don't want to call in, you might as well learn a lesson. So here we go. Here's some more information on Venezuela. So what I did is that you see I'm actually putting in work and actually let me show you guys this shit, man. You think I'm just bullshitting, right? Look at all this work that I'm putting in for you people. All of this is slides. I'm still having some technical difficulties. What's that? The most recent one is my screen is too big for this format right here. So when I do my presentations, I actually use Google Slides to do the presentation for you guys. My job is to teach you, so we don't have this shit like what we have happening on the ground report every day, with people talking this pure nonsense. I'm actually going to play my section I have some gems for you guys. But in the meanwhile, listen to this.
It is October 27th, 2025, and the Trump administration is making it clear that they want war, as they have announced the deployment of the world's largest warship to the Caribbean. As you have Trump openly threatening land strikes in Venezuela, talking about CIA operations there, imposing sanctions against the president of Colombia. So what does that mean for where tensions are headed in the region, and what should we be keeping an eye on? Well, we got into all of that and more with a special guest earlier, so let's take a listen to that conversation now. Joining me now to discuss is independent journalist and geopolitical analyst Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who joins us from Colombia. Kamla, thanks so much for taking the time to join me.
Thank you. It's so good to see you, Rachel.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show. Now, I want to get your take on the latest, and I actually want to start with what's happening surrounding Venezuela, because I know that the Trump administration has ordered the world's largest warship, the USS Gerald R. Ford, to be sent to the Caribbean in a major
The ground report got me here.
as they really aren't hiding the fact
So
that
now
the
your
goal is
bitches
to
can't block me
change
no more over there.
Venezuela. Now, in
Welcome
response,
to the Slimy Show. Like and subscribe.
The Trump administration of fabricating a war, as they claim that he is suddenly the leader of a drug cartel. So how do you view the current state of tension, and really what is at stake for Venezuela?
It seems like it's escalating every few days.
Never heard of it.
And if you saw on Sunday evening, the vice presidency of Venezuela put out a communique saying that they are denouncing these military exercises, or what are being called military exercises, being held between the military of Trinidad and Tobago alongside Southcom. They say that the Venezuelan authorities have captured a number of mercenaries. We don't have exact details on that, but that they are part of a plot along with the CIA against Venezuela. And they say that there is
No, you are not black, Kumana. You actually, Kumana Sharon, you actually blocked me. I remember that from Paul of you chat a couple years ago. You straight up blocked me. I remember that. I was a Pep supporter back then.
A military escalation and ultimately a war in Venezuela. President Maduro and the government of Venezuela has been very patient and has worked very hard to try to maintain good relations with the government of Trinidad and Tobago, which it had for so long under its previous prime
This
minister,
should be concerning to you
Dr.
people.
Who stepped down
All right, these are the international independent journalists. You should be concerned that you have these people calling up your country name in their mouth. This should not be happening. Trinidad and Tobago should not be messing around in global politics at this level where we are being noticed by these people.
This year, and there has been a huge shift. This government in Trinidad and Tobago, which was previously the opposition, was always fear-mongering and always really boosting these sort of mainstream media lies about Venezuela and about Venezuela being everything that's wrong with Trinidad. In fact, saying that we get our criminals from there, that they're involved in narco trafficking and things like that. A lot of what we hear the Trump administration saying.
Yes, and this is the same narrative you have pushed on those other networks. The other networks will tell you that, oh, narco trafficking, this, that, and the other, and it's all bullshit. Listen to this interview. It is very good, and learn something.
They have been saying
the number to call in is 347-791-3311.
And you start to see the different governments of the
if you want your voice to be heard,
themselves from that position. They say we don't want a war in our Caribbean region. We don't want a war in the CELAC region, all of Latin America and the Caribbean, because it's going to become a problem for all of us. And we have seen in recent days Mia Mottley, the Prime Minister of Barbados, and also Roosevelt Skerritt, the longtime Prime Minister of Dominica, among many others, St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves, denounced this military buildup, saying that this is not what we want, this is not keeping us safe, it is an aggression, and that we can't have aggression against any of our countries and any of our neighbors. And so I think it's becoming more and more difficult for the United States regime to justify what they're doing. They have tried this for so long. But if you see now on CBS News and all the major news outlets, of course, they're doing all these exclusive interviews. We've heard from Lindsey Graham, we've heard from James Story, and they're repeating all of the same lies about what they claim President Maduro and his government are doing, like supposedly, allegedly leading to criminal cartels, which is, of course, categorically false, but also saying they're leading cartels, they're socialists, they are leading a number of socialist countries around the region, and they happen to be sitting on the largest proven oil reserves, and we need them
Correct.
out of power. It's crystal clear what they're doing. The United States regime is no longer trying to fiddle around and resort back to their claims about democracy, about human rights, about persecution of the opposition. They're seeing that that didn't really work. And so now what they are doing is they're trying.
Yes, so Kumana, I don't believe in blocking. I am anti-blocking. I am pro free speech. Any kind of speech, it is allowed. I the only way you're gonna combat speech that you don't like is with better speech. So that blocking game, I don't play it. I don't block people ever on chat ever. There's no one on my block list. And if there's anyone on the block list on the Workers' Right platform, I'm gonna make sure to clear that out.
To deploy or employ this type of psychological warfare, these sorts of psychological operations through the media, in which people like Governor Rick Scott and others, Marco Rubio, are giving very explicit warnings through social media, through network television to President Maduro and telling him it's time for him to make his way to Russia or China and step down before they surgically remove him, before a ground operation is to begin. So we don't really have any details about where things are going to go from here, but being a long-time reporter on Venezuela, you know that you have to pace yourself because the U.S. is always uttering these sorts of threats, always trying to pay off the different members of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces to betray their country, trying to pay off the long-time senior level officials and other leaders of Chavismo, of the Bolivarian Revolution, to betray President Maduro. And so far, it hasn't worked. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that. But I find it very difficult to believe at this stage that people in the United States and average people everywhere, including here in Colombia, including
Even the
in
racists, you
Trinidad,
let them
including in
talk.
other parts of the Caribbean, are really going to be falling for it this time
Because
because
I
we've
just
seen
call
it played
people
out
coolie
so
all
many
the
times
time in the
before,
chat.
and it has been a
So
failure.
Yeah, I think
let
that's a
even
really
even
great
even
point.
them
And it
let
is
them talk.
interesting too how you were noting there that in the past they've played the game of, oh, we just want to bring freedom and democracy, or even with Trump's his first term, they played the game of, oh, we don't recognize that election. So now we have to step in and, tell you who is going to be the president of Venezuela. And none of that worked. So now you see the Trump administration with this much more brazen approach, right? Straight up saying, here's our warship. We're going to kill anyone that we want to kill at sea. We're going to, try to turn your neighbors against you. What do you make of the fact that the U.S. is taking such a public approach
Just
to this?
cool.
They're not
Everything
even
I
hiding
deliver
the
is
fact that the
facts.
CIA
Everything
is
I deliver
involved
is
and
factual.
carrying out
Every single
operations.
thing.
Is it
There's
because
nothing.
they seem to be
Let me say this again to you. My job is not to lie to the people. My job is not to be a propagandist. My job is to deliver news. My job is to deliver facts. My job is to change minds. I want you guys to think like me. That is my job. That is my goal. I want you guys to learn. Just like I actually take the time out of my day to actually compile all this shit to present to you guys. I'm here. I want to see you guys smart. I want to just. I want to see a better. I want to see better you. We have been a joke on the right now. Trinidad. Now that Trinidad is you have all of the eyes of the world looking at us. You have foreigners coming into local chat groups, and they are assessing how we interact with each other. So Kamla Persad-Bissessar, when she went up when she made that first announcement that the dragon gas deal is dead, Trump looked at her as, when he heard that news, he looked at her as a sucker. Oh, look, a stupid person. Look, in Trinidad and Tobago, there's a stupid person. Let's go see what we can get from her. So that is why I believe Kamla Persad-Bissessar is under threat or blackmail right now. Maybe she's been promised some kind of mansion in Miami, like Juan Guaido or something like that. But what she is doing is treasonous. What her and her government is doing is treasonous. And policies that you see being acted today, you won't actually start feeling the brunt of it 6 months from now. So Venezuela cut off your gas yesterday. In 6 months, no, by Christmas time, there will be riots in the street in Trinidad. And I gave you guys the presentation yesterday on what is happening in Haiti and what actually started off the whole protest when they did that whole gas hike thing. If you can predict time, if you have like some intellect and you can put pieces together, like, all right, so if this person says this is going to happen. If you have that ability to predict the future, there's nothing good. There's nothing good in Trinidad's future, and you will have idiots coming on to you saying that KPB is a world class leader. What has she done to prove that she is a world class leader? She has given up the sovereignty of her country. She has spread the legs of Trinidad and Tobago like Barry Paderat does his. Back to the video, ladies and gentlemen.
That it's going to work this time.
Well, I think it's all they have. They have Marco Rubio leading all of this. There was a reason why they decided to put him in as Secretary of State and as in the National Security Advisor post.
Shit! You know what? I got some shit for y'all today.
Leading all of this charge.
I don't really want to get into the drama, but
against Iran and against
there's a rumor going around, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not really a rumor, but it's confirmed. You're gonna love it. I don't really want to get into the bacchanal, but there's some bacchanal I have for you later.
We knew that
you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
Soon, even with everything going on in West Asia, for Marco Rubio and Trump to return to Latin America and try to make sure that they deal with the things that they've wanted to deal with for so long. Marco Rubio has been
we will be importing gas from somewhere soon
in the last two
Mr.
administrations. That's Biden's administration included. He's very knowledgeable when it comes to U.S. foreign policy on Latin America. He's somewhat of a historian, we could say, because he is a very bold anti-communist, and he's on a constant crusade. So he has a very specific agenda he wants to carry out. And for that reason...
You see, this is the kind of dotishness that I'm talking about. The whole fucking reason of me playing the video with Rowley at the start was so you can get a refresher on what is going on between Trinidad and Venezuela, and you won't come in the chat and talking no stupid shit like you're doing right now. I presented to you the facts at the start of the video before I even came on fucking camera. We are dependent on Venezuela for gas. The gas that Trinidad currently has, our supply is running out. There are current drawdowns in the factories, in the gas processing plant in Trinidad. So we need gas. We need to get gas from somewhere.
Expanded this attack on the Bolivarian Revolution, on Venezuelan sovereignty, to now attack President Gustavo Petro. And on Friday, of course, announce those sanctions on President Petro, as well as his wife, one of his sons, and his interior minister. Now they're saying that the president of Colombia is also leading narco trafficking, because this does continue to be the #1 producer and exporter country of cocaine worldwide.
Colombia.
That's true. It's also part of what was inherited by this government. So they have made advances here. They have actually been able to close a lot of the ports and a lot of the old trafficking routes down, and have forced the narco traffickers to take an alternative route now through Ecuador, where there's complete lawlessness and there's a US-backed president, total
You hear
puppet
that?
neoliberal Danielle Noboa.
When the US goes in and they install their leader, it's nothing but madness and wildness that will happen in the country. You hear that, right? So all of you dummies that are on the other radio or that are on the other, I wouldn't call it, I hate calling that fucking show a radio program, that are on the other media channels saying that the United States is here to protect us. Think again. Why are the ports in Trinidad and Tobago on high alert if they're here to protect us?
And so now they are trying to ensure that what happens next year here in Colombia is that because they're only constitutionally allowed to run one time, that the president is not able
Wall Street is a house
to find
nigga.
a successor. And that
And I can say that on YouTube. This is my channel. I can say what the fuck I want. NIGGA. Professor Wall Street is a house nigga. He serves. That is, if we were in the time of slavery, right? Who would Professor Wall Street be? If he was a slave, if let's say Professor Wall Street's ancestors just came off the boat with your ancestors, right? And you're all in the slave together. You're all getting your ass beat together. What do you think Professor Wall Street ancestor would do? Which side would he go on? The number is 347-791-3311. I want to hear your reply to that. Oh, I can do polls. All right, I'm going to experiment with this.
they ruin the chances of the left to maintain power, and that they retrieve power for the right wing in Colombia. So, they are meddling in so many countries at the same time, not the least of which is these three countries, Trinidad, Colombia, and Venezuela. And I think this is just the strategy that they think is going to work. The interview I was referring to on CBS with Lindsey Graham, he said the reason we can do this is because we've done it before. We have invaded and attacked Panama and Grenada in the 80s, of course, and we did so without congressional authority. And so we're able to do it now. We don't know that that's actually what they're going to do. They do seem to be relying on these intelligence operations, which they've done for so long. And a lot of people have gotten, I think, very rightly frightened about what could happen. It's really important that that people pay attention to what's going on. But for so long, the Bolivarian Revolution has been subject to all of these attacks and attempts at infiltration and attempts at coups. We even had a drone attack in August 2018 to try to assassinate President Maduro, among many others, mercenary incursions, etc. And so this just seems to be they're trying their luck.
Just cool. My brother, my fellow Trini brother, just cool. Here's some advice from one black man to I don't know what you are. Don't tell people in the chat that your family used to trade slaves. You moron. Level dance.
One more time. But,
God.
it speaks volumes that the majority of their largest, most important opposition figures are in the exterior, living in fancy hotels
You make me want to smoke.
or resorts or homes in Miami, in Washington, in Madrid, etc. So far, everything has failed. That's really important to say. And the Venezuelan military is one of the most advanced and up-to-date militaries in this region, very powerful, despite the years of attacks and, most importantly, the unilateral coercive measures which began under President Obama. So their response has been for President Maduro to call upon the Bolivarian National Armed Forces and this civilian militia to mobilize to all of the borders and to the coast and prepare for the eventuality of some sort of attack on soil, because we're already seeing provocations at sea.
Oh, absolutely. And I can imagine if you are an average member of the public in Venezuela or even Colombia, and you got the US basically telling you,
She
hey,
is
we have our
compromised.
puppet, right? We have Maria Corina Machado lined up, ready to go to come in and run.
If Kamla Persad-Bissessar is not, I don't think this is just complicity. You see, the problem with when you surround yourself with criminals, like Kamla did. Everybody has something on them. Everybody has something on them. I'm gonna say this again. So once they have something on you, you can be controlled. Understanding me? Can you hear me properly? Is the audio right? I'm gonna say this again. Once they have something on you, you can be controlled. For example, look at this situation with David Lee. I heard that David Lee, and actually now I am in the corner for David Lee. Now I'm pro David Lee, because David Lee, I heard, this is the rumor, that he was given an order to send out mass evictions, and he refused. Now all of a sudden charges get pulled up on him. What does that tell you? So that is them, with the silver or lead option. Either you take the money or we give you some lead. And this is how it starts. Right? So I don't care what David Lee did in the past. He stood up. If that rumor is true, that he actually stood up for the people of Trinidad and did not put people out on the streets, he has my respect. He has my props, and keep it up. Keep fighting for the people. David, if you listen to me, keep fighting for the people. Keep doing more acts like that. It's time for someone within that UNC party to actually break out, because look at what is happening to the country. And this is another thing that is bothering me about what is going on in Trinidad. Even the PNM politicians are not highlighting the stuff that could potentially happen to Trinidad if this escalates into something worse. Because you know what, they're going to get evacuated. If bombs start dropping in Trinidad, the politicians will be the first to get evacuated. Look at Marsha Walker. Look at the story she told you when she was a child and they had that coup in Trinidad. Didn't she tell you that the special branch force came to our house and actually took them away and took them into some kind of protective thing? If bombs start dropping in Trinidad, the politicians are protected and you have to fend for yourself. That's what's going to happen. So Kamla she is compromised and she is complicit. So I would say it's both. They quiet as church mice because they all have axes hanging over their head. They are all compromised. So let's get into conspiracy theories a little bit here. Hold on, let me pull this up. Hold on. I might get myself in trouble. But I actually did a presentation on this freaking last week. If you want, you can just go back and look at that live. Lisa Morris Julian. It started with her. I want you guys to follow me carefully with this, where I'm going. Come on, man. Hang on 1 second. I'm pulling up a slide for you. You know what? I really shouldn't get into this, you know. But I'm just speaking my mind, right? So Renison wants me to read to you this to you guys. Disclaimer. Workers' Right 868 discusses and Renison, for real, do this over. Check your English and your grammar. I'm gonna read it just as how he wrote it. Disclaimer. Workers' Right 868 discusses and questions allegations already in the public domain. Oh, that's proper English. Excuse me. All content is for informational and educational purposes only. The views expressed by hosts and guests are their own and do not constitute legal or professional advice. Information shared is presented in good faith, but without guarantee of accuracy or completeness. Viewers are encouraged to form their own opinions and seek independent verification where necessary. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about Lisa Morris Julian. Lisa Morris Julian was an aspiring politician, well loved by the people, and slated to be the next leader of the People's National Movement. This was like known. So it would have been a battle if Lisa had lived. It would have been a battle between Lisa and Kamla. Who do you think would have won that battle between Lisa Morris Julian and Kamla Persad-Bissessar? The number to call in is 347-791-3311. And I want to introduce you guys to the Central Intelligence Agency. Yo, I'm going to get myself in so much fucking trouble. You know what? Cancel this train of thought. I'm scared. I'm a pussy. I'm a pussy out. Let's not even think such evil things about the UNC. Nah, let's not do that. Nah, let's not think in our heads that the UNC kill Lisa so that they can get into power. Let's not go there. Let's not do that. That is so evil and to think, because if they actually did something like that, then everything that will follow from that point on is nothing but evil. But it makes you want to question, man. It makes you want to question why, when the police report, the report on the fire, why isn't it revealed to the public? Altia, I'm just thinking. I'm just expressing thoughts. I'm just extrapolating from my brain. This right here, that's why I paid the disclaimer. This is not. I'm not speaking anything from proof. I'm just trying to put puzzles together in my head, because in this government I see nothing but evil. Every action they take is evil, if you're paying attention. From that first motion they made in the parliament, from that first nonsense motion about granting citizenship to people who don't deserve citizenship. When you really look at it, the roots behind it, there's nothing but evil. So this is just me talking and asking questions. You know, I'm not accusing. Yeah, I'm not accusing. I'm asking questions. I'm asking questions. Would the UNC kill for power? Right? So let's play this out. Let's go out here. Let's play this little game. Right? Pretend you're in Trinidad and Tobago, December 2024, and Lisa Morris Julian was still alive and well, and she was nominated to be the leader of the PNM. Rowley would have stepped down and Lisa would have stepped up. So in that election, Who would have won? When given a leader, a leader like Lisa, she was black. She was well loved. She was from Arima. She was in the community. She was doing her thing. Right? That was automatic leadership. And knowing that Trinidad, and you know Rowley knows this, he knows his country is racist. And he knows if he had put Stuart Young in that position, he knew the arguments that was going to come out. So Lisa was the obvious choice. But she was killed, right? Because I looked at this. I even, you know what, I even pulled up Lisa's house on Google Maps. And I was looking at the area. And the layout of our house, and if you have a fire, why she couldn't get out? How did some people get out and then other people didn't? Like, this is why I want the report on her death released. I want the fire report released. Why did Marvin Gonzalez get the report? Not the arson, the after action report on that fire. Why isn't it released to the public yet? What is so scary about the death of Lisa Morris Julian? Why hasn't the current Minister of National Security released the report on the fire that took the life of Lisa? Those are questions you should be asking. And once you start asking those questions, every action this government took from that point on should make you say, because the UNC was broke. The UNC had no money. And this is one of the reasons why when Stuart Young was elected as leader, he decided to call a snap election, because he assumed it would have been an automatic win, because he knew the UNC didn't have no money, and the UNC would have gone up against the P&M machine. She got out and went back inside because the baby and other. Is that true? I've never seen any reports of that anywhere, Altia. If that is true, that's the first time I'm hearing of that, and that will actually change my whole assessment on everything. But regardless, the report on the fire should still be released. What caused the fire? Was accelerants used? And I was under the impression that she was actually inside the house unconscious or sleeping or something, but you're saying she actually got out and went back in. That's actually the first time I'm hearing that news. And it will actually change my assessment maybe. That's the first I'm hearing that. So she actually, she died a hero. Oh god, that's gonna bring tears to my eyes. Woo! Yeah, that's it. Ooh. Wow. Shit. I didn't know that. Oh wow. So she died a fucking hero. She would have made an amazing leader for Trinidad. Oh my god. I didn't know that. Shit. I didn't know that. Oh man, that just you have me crying on fucking live. Now I don't want to do this shit no more. Oh god, this streaming is a fucking difficult task, man. You guys have no fucking idea. Doing this shit for the reasons I'm doing it is very fucking difficult. All right, man. Yeah, I gotta process that. Whoa. Can you imagine what kind of leader she would have been like? Holy fuck. Nah, I don't want to do this no more. Man, fuck this shit, man. You guys, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I love you. All my trainees, I love you. That's it for me for tonight. I can't do no more, man. So let's end the stream on this note, on this energy.
Fuck Israel all day, every day. Fuck Israel till my last breath. Fuck Israel till I'm in jail or I get shot. Fuck Israel. Fuck Zionism. Fuck you and fuck you. Fuck Israel. That's it, man. Fuck you, you colonial fucking settlers. Go fuck off back wherever you came from. You murdering psychopath colonizer motherfuckers. Fuck you. Fuck Israel. You will never accept Israel. Fuck you till the end of days. Fuck you. I have a platform and I'm going to yell it as loud as possible. Fuck Israel. Fuck you. Thanks for tuning in.